Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today we are doing a custom build. A few weeks ago I built a custom sword for my buddy Skylar Osler, aka Cosplay Apprentice, and I basically just took the silhouette of his logo and kind of made up what it would look like on the inside, and I kind of enjoyed that process and thought, Much Props needs a sword too. So I'm going to design my own, just kind of basing it off of the utensil that I probably use the most while crafting, which is a hobby knife. It's a dope knife, and this is going to be my inspiration for my build. So today we are going to build a custom Much Props hobby dagger, and we're going to paint it with some FX paint from Plaid. Let's get to building. I got a 3D printer a few years ago and sadly haven't really used it much. I can generally build quicker than it can print, so after rearranging my workshop and leveling my bed, I thought it was time to start using a little bit of this machine from time to time. It's a XYZ DaVinci 1.0 with a heated bed. Sand, sand, sand. Got some XTC resin ordered and it didn't really make it here in time, so gotta sand away the ABS print lines. I probably could use the print straight up, but since it's part of my logo, I figured I might as well make a mold of all my hard work. Time to build a box out of some corrugated plastic to make my mold in. Glue the build in and spray down some mold release so you can pull your print away from the materials. Now I know you technical police are going to tell me, Thomas, Rebound 25 is for brush-on molds. Well, I ran out of the pour mold materials that I've used before and read that you could actually pour with it, so I figured I'd give it a try. I did realize halfway through mixing up that I didn't have enough of the pouring materials, so I had to move my build into a cup and pour it to the wrist up, then flip it over and put it back in the box. So you're fixing to see this monstrosity of a mold that I have made here in a second. After about 4 or 5 hours, it fully cures and is ready to demold. To ensure that the mold lines back up for pouring, cut in zigzag pattern down your prop. I add some tape around it to keep the mold together, put on some gloves, and get ready to pour. Smoothcast 300 is an equal parts A and B. This resin sets up super quick and gets pretty hot, so work fast. I always keep some random molds ready just in case I mix too much. No sense in wasting any. Eventually I need to do something with all these random off pours.
I thought putting the PVC in the mold would be a great idea and save me a step of trying to secure each part. It is solid and turned out pretty nice. One of the drawbacks to pouring Rebound 25 and not having a pressure pot is that I got some air bubbles in my mold. So in order to fix that, I use that baby powder mix and super glue. Just spackle the mixture on, give it a few minutes to cure, and then sand away the excess. Now to make a better transition between the PVC and the casting, I just take my Dremel with the sanding drum and sand away some of the material. Wear a respirator while doing this because this stuff goes everywhere and the last place you want it to go is in your lungs. Now to add the details and tie it into my inspiration, I'm making the knarling out of some 2mm WTF EVA from Cosplay Apprentice. I score the lines diagonally across crisscross pattern and hit it with a torch here in a minute. I know I've been plugging Skylar's foam a lot recently. He's an awesome guy, super talented, and really all about getting a supportive community around makers. He puts out awesome material to use and detailed content on YouTube for all levels. Check out his helpful tips he's been posting daily recently. The blade will be fashioned off of a hobby knife blade, so I just kind of eyeball it and make adjustments as I go. This is 6mm foam I'm using here. I cut a bevel on the sharp side of the blade, trying to keep my hand even on the way through and as few pulls as possible so I don't have to do a lot of cleanup. To make it super sturdy, I'm putting some fencing wire in between the two pieces. I bend it into shape, cut out a channel for it to sit in, and then glue the parts together. I bought some EVA cones from TNT Cosplay and thought it would work great as the chuck at the end of the handle where it meets the blade. I cut off the cone where I need it, sand over the edges, split it in half, and then glue it directly onto the blade. The tang of the blade is then super glued and shoved into the handle. Busting out all kinds of techniques on this one. Now I am using some letter bits on my wood burner and branding my name on some 2mm EVA. This thing gets super hot, so watch your fingers as you change bits. I use pliers to help me screw them on so I don't burn the mess out of myself. Now some Rust-Oleum hammered spray paint to unify the surfaces for painting. Final leg of the project, detail painting. I got some of these FX paints in last week from Plaid and thought I would use the Armor Metallics to give my Dagger some shine.
And we are finished. Here is the end result. Overall, I really like the way this turned out. It is definitely fitting that I make a blade based off of a hobby knife. It is my tool of choice and what I use pretty much on a daily basis. Definitely couldn't do any damage with this one, but it definitely looks cool. I resisted the urge to dirty this up. I really like the way these metallic paints from Plaid, the new FX paints, they have great coverage. This is literally 2 coats of paint, and it looks like this. So definitely going to be using this, putting this in the mix a lot more, because it's a good quality and it seems to hold up very well. And you're talking about different materials. I'm sold. Maybe you'll try and make a custom blade yourselves and impress your friends with your ability to turn random logos or promote yourself by making a weapon that makes no sense at all. True. Maybe you'll get some...
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. Tell them, much props. This could knock you out, I guess. Oh.